Hello everybody. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. I think during this panel discussion, most of the panelists are based in Africa, so it's late afternoon for most of the speakers. Thanks a lot for joining to this session. And first of all, thanks a lot to the World Bank for organizing this Innovative for Climate event. It's been very interesting the last 3 days, hearing from different perspectives of climate change and bringing solutions into the markets, financing those solutions, etc. So during these sessions, we would like to discuss how climate innovation is happening in Africa with different innovators from around the continent, as well as from different organizations supporting those innovations. So my name is Ayoub Derdabi, and I work for the Climate Kick. And we have launched this project, Accelerate Climate Tech Solutions for a Net Zero Africa, which is a project that was funded by GIZ on behalf of the German Ministry of Cooperation, BMZ. So first of all, I wanted to have a quick word about what do we do at Climate Kick. So we are a European-based agency working on climate innovation, and the main goal for us is to help different innovation and challenge owners to support the transformations of economies, of different industries, different value chains. So some of the programs that we're working on are supporting, for example, cities to reach their net zero goals, or for example, some regions such as coal industry regions to help them to transform into a more green economy. And in the same time, we're supporting individuals that are developing different innovations, such as trying to support the change of mindset for students in high schools, for example, students in universities, so that they have a different mindset towards climate change, and to start to bring a spark to those young individuals so that they can develop ideas and launch them. And then we support entrepreneurs as well. We support them to bring their ideas into fruition, to launch climate businesses, but also to grow and help them to match with different investors. So Climate Kick was working mainly in Europe for the last 15 years, but more and more we try to launch our programs around the world. And Africa has been one of our focus in the last years. And last year, we launched this project supported by GIZ. And why we wanted to focus on Africa? The first reason is that the continent, even though it's participating very little in the emission of carbon relatively to other regions, however, it's one of the places that is suffering the most from climate change. From very severe and catastrophic climate change, such as flooding, dry droughts, and soil deterioration in many regions. However, we see the continent as a land of opportunity for innovators. We have seen that Africans have enormous talents in bringing innovations, developing them and growing them throughout the whole continent. We have seen that in many industries, and I think climate change can be a great industry for young Africans to develop ideas and launch them. So through this project, we wanted to first support early stage innovators, lowering their barriers to take their ideas into fruition and launch their businesses. The second goal was to help the champion startups in the climate change to grow their business and scale it throughout the continent, and also serve as a role model for other young innovators in Africa. And the third goal was to help build a first ecosystem around climate change, and building a network throughout the continent so that different partners from different parts of the continent can work together and help support entrepreneurs in the best way possible. So during this project, first of all, we focused on local programs and supported the development of the Climate Launchpad program that will be introduced a little bit later. And we're focusing first on Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, Egypt, Zambia, and Rwanda, helping really early stage businesses to develop and launch their startups. And then the second phase was the first Pan-African Climate Accelerator, the Climate Accelerator Africa, supporting the best startups around Africa to grow their business, assess their climate impact, and launch their business in a bigger scale. So today I'm really happy to have a panelist of people that helped to develop and launch this program, and also some of the innovations that we supported throughout this program. So I would like to invite now Abderrahman, my first guest, to tell us a little bit about Climate Launchpad and also Climate Launchpad that was launched in Egypt.
Yes, thank you, Ayub, and welcome everyone to the panel about accelerating climate innovation in Africa. So my name is Abderrahman Fahmy, and I am the chairman of Youth in Green Egypt. We are an environmental consulting firm working since 2013 on supporting the ecosystem towards the sustainability transition in different sectors. And one of our business lines and portfolios is supporting entrepreneurs at different stages. So Climate Launchpad, by definition, is the world's largest clean tech early stage business competition in more than 54 or 60 actually countries all over the world. So every year, businesses at early stage who are working on green product or green service, whatever the innovation it is, they apply nationally and compete nationally. And then they are qualified to regional and international finals. This have been taking place since 2014, and in Egypt it has started in 2019. So it's the 4th year right now, and every year we have top 16 clean tech business from all over the world who receive support from Climate Kick, who join the accelerator and also benefit and leverage from the investment networks of Climate Kick and EIT. By numbers, CLP worked with more than 2,000 startups and created more than 8,000 jobs and attracted or raised more than 100 million euros in investments, and generated the startups collectively more than 50 million euros in revenues. So it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, competition worldwide for early stage green businesses. And we were blessed to start this in partnership with Climate Kick in Egypt in 2019. And year after year, I'm glad that Egypt now for the last 2 years had the opportunity to secure a position within the top 16 startups worldwide. So this is also gives an indicator not only about Egypt, but the African innovation, that it can compete and it could be on the final stages and the top stages with other competition from much more developed countries, I would say. So this is a brief about Climate Launchpad and Climate Launchpad Egypt. And yeah, this year as well, we have started the application process, and hopefully also other countries, neighboring countries, Morocco, South Africa, and many, many other countries, Nigeria. I don't want to forget about any country, but a lot of momentum is now being delivered in Africa through the partnership with the BMZ. So I'm happy that CLP started to grow not only in Europe, but in Africa and all over the world. Ayub, over to you.
Thank you very much, Abderrahman. Indeed, it's such a global program that it's very hard to not forget some of the countries. But To date, more than 50 countries around the world, and in Africa, close to 15 countries. So the program is growing a lot, and we've seen over the years a stronger and stronger participation of African startups in the Climate Launchpad. So we are very excited about that. So after the Climate Launchpad was launched, we recently launched in the last month the Africa Clim Accelerator, and I'm glad to welcome Martin Kilu, which has been running the Africa Clim Accelerator from Kenya. So hi, Martin, can you introduce us to Growth Africa and to the Africa Clim Accelerator?
Thanks, Ayub. Welcome, everyone. Pleasure to be here, and hope you're all enjoying this lovely event put together over the past 3 days. As I mentioned, I'm Martin Kilu. I'm the head of advisory at Growth Africa. We are one of the leading accelerators on the continent, and especially in the countries we operate. We have been in existence for the last 20 years and currently have offices in 6 countries, headquartered out of Nairobi, Kenya, but having offices in Ghana, Ethiopia, Uganda, Zambia, and Malawi. And what we promise and what we premise our existence on is being able to support entrepreneurs build scalable ventures through a host of support, both capacity building, technical support, as well as leveraging access to investments. So speaking about Africa Clim Accelerator, I think we got the prestigious honor of being Climate Kick's partner to launch this in conjunction with the Carbon Trust, which is a leading consulting firm in the climate space with also over 20 years experience and numerous offices across the globe. And this occasion for us meant that, and this partnership meant that we were then looking to support various enterprises, and being the first Pan-Africa Climate Accelerator focused on really climate impact ideas, enhancing their sustainability and pushing them to growth. This was a great opportunity for us to actually test and see who was actually active in across the continent in climate and climate solutions. And as you can see on your screen, we have a map of where we were able to gather applications from. A total of over 690 applications came in, and representative across the whole continent, and truly putting together Pan-African feel to the accelerator as we had envisaged at the beginning. And so the program was able to support 15 innovative ventures, some of whom you listen and you get to the chance to hear from today as being part of the panel. And the support involved both helping them validate their businesses, develop business models, facilitating access to capital, but as well as developing a go-to-market strategy for the different solutions that they were developing. And even quite relevant to the conversation of climate impact through still support from Climate Kick International Foundation, we're able to also partner with Impact Focused, who have been helping the companies and the ventures validate some of their impact data. And so for us, it's been a great chance to see the number of innovators across the continent, the hunger that the innovators have to receive this kind of support and to scale their businesses to the next level. And given that we had over 690 applications and we're only able to choose 15, I think that is even that we would call that maybe 2% success rate in terms of getting into the program, which leaves a lot of untapped potential in terms of ventures across the continent that would be in need of the kind of support that ourselves, Abdelrahman, and other programs on the continent can give to climate ventures. And so thank you very much. And that's Ayub, I hand it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Martin. Wow, 690 applications from across the continent. That's quite impressive. Great results. And yeah, as you said, there's a lot of untapped potential. And I think one of the main ideas of the discussion today, we have seen potential from across the continent, from 44 countries. And unfortunately, we couldn't support all the startups, but that's something that we really want to work on, to be able to scale this kind of impact and support that we are bringing to entrepreneurs. So now I would like to move on and introduce some of the entrepreneurs that participated in the program. Unfortunately, we were supposed to have Diana from No-Feed, and we wanted to introduce her to this during this session. Unfortunately, she couldn't join, but just a few words. And if anybody is interested in alternative protein for the fish markets, we'd be happy to connect you to her. So Diana is from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and her startup No-Feed collects a household organic waste, transforms it into alternative proteins, and distributes it to the fish producers. The second startup we wanted to introduce is Ekotutu. Hello, Babajide from Nigeria. Could you introduce yourself and Ekotutu?
All right. Hi, everyone. So my name is Babajide Oluwaseyi. I am from Nigeria, precisely in Lagos. So I'm the founder and the growth leader at Ekotutu. And basically what we do is to enable businesses, particularly in the agricultural value chain, to be able to store, preserve, and transport their perishable items at a very affordable cost. So this is what we do for farmers, and we also do for retailers and vendors of these perishable items in urban areas like Lagos. And it's great to be here this evening.
Thank you very much, Babajide. I have a first question for you, because you work in cold storage, which is one of the biggest issues for smallholder farmers in Africa. And I think another issue is also access to market. So can you tell us a little bit how you tackle the problems from the storage first, and what kind of problem you are solving for smallholder farmers, and also the second problem, that is the access to market?
Okay, so the problem we are solving for these farmers and aggregators is basically around affordability to these cold storage solutions. I mean, cold storage has been around way before I was born, and but then it's not so accessible for a lot of people. Reason being that it's heavily reliant on electricity, and most of these people, particularly in rural and peri-urban areas, even in some part of the urban areas, do not have access to reliable electricity supply. And this is where we leverage largely on solar systems for us to be able to power our cold chain solutions. And we are now solving that problem of affordability, meaning that these farmers, these aggregators do not have to buy the cold chain solutions, right? Once we're able to identify a need within a cluster or a farm area, we get an agreement with them, we set up an Ekotutu hub in that cluster, and then they pay only when they have things to store, right? And they pay for the quantity of what they want to store. So per day, so depending on the size of what each farmer wants to store, and that makes a lot of sense to most of them, right? So they don't have to worry about the technology, they don't have to worry about its viability in itself. All they want is that cold storage service, right? And for those that are able to afford it as well, and that wants to be able to keep costs low, we're also able to deploy it to them as well. So in terms of being able to access the market, we leverage so much on the relationship of the different stakeholders across the value chain, right? We know how much the farmers trust the aggregators, and we understand that we can't take them off that chain, right? So we need to work with them closely just so that we can also be able to access the farmers. And I mean, so it's basically just positioning the company in a way that the stakeholders across the value chain see that Ekotutu has some value to bring to the table and are readily able to work with us. So we've been doing this, and it's been very good.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Babajide. Yeah, as we know, spoilage rate is quite high in Africa, exactly because the smallholder farmers don't have access to cold rooms. So on top of the climate change issue, we are solving also a big social problem and increasing the revenue of smallholder farmers. Thanks a lot,
Exactly.
Babajide.
Thank you.
The second entrepreneur I would like to introduce you today is Mejda from Tunisia with the startup called Agaru. Hello, Mejda.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Mejda Khaled. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Agaru. I'm from Tunisia, and we are trying to tackle through Agaru the huge amount of solid and textile waste. So we're trying to introduce the new alternatives for eco-friendly products. Through our marketplace, where brands that are eco-friendly and artisans, also designers, can sell online, but also we have our own brand, where we recycle, collect, and upcycle fashion, textiles, old clothes from landfills and collected from our customers and turn them to new fashion pieces sold on the same platform. We are trying to encourage and empower artisans and designers in Tunisia for now, and also in other countries very soon, to work on more sustainable materials and to have a sustainable chain of production. And with that, we are helping them to increase their revenues and have consistent incomes. But also we have a huge environmental impact in collecting and reducing the textiles and solid waste by we aim to be like over plus 100 tons of waste. We are also reducing the emissions of CO2 and we save water and energy to prevent creating new textiles and clothes to the market by reusing and upcycling and recycling the old ones, because we only have one planet, and we are trying to tackle that through Agaru. Yeah, that's what we are working on.
Thank you very much, Mejda. Can you tell us a little bit more on how do you work with the artisans? How do you approach them with this? What's their feedback on the processes that they use? What kind of materials they use to recycle? And yeah, like an example of an artisan with whom you're working with.
Yeah, so for Tunisian artisans and designers here in Tunisia, we have our creative space where we gather our artisans and designers, have samples of their works and their materials, and we are present. We are present on all the the supply chain. We see from where they get their materials, and we also help them to have the right materials and to produce like green products under our perspective, and we guide them through that in our creative space. But also for artisans that are a little bit far from us, we have like a process of selection for those products and artisans, and we make sure that we select the most eco-friendly products, either recycled, upcycled, reused materials, or ecological materials. So we're trying to have like a community of artisans and designers and help them all the way from production to marketing and even photography.
Perfect, sounds great. Where can we have access to your platform? Is it available today just in Tunisia or abroad as well?
Yeah, it's available. We launched it 1 year ago, so it's www.agaru.com. So you can visit our website and see more details about the artisans and encourage them.
Thank you very much, Mejda.
Thank you.
Last but not least, would like to introduce you to Zuhura Solutions and Benson. Hello, Benson.
Hello, you. Yep. Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. And my name is Benson Kibiti. I am based in Nairobi, where we are scaling our solution to impact both the people and the environment. And so I can bet everyone on this call has eaten a snack from a street food vendor. And so, FAO estimates there are around 2.5 billion people who consume street food every day, but the unfortunate bit is that 400 million people in Africa have no access to nutritious meals. And so Zuhura Solutions, we are operating at the energy food nexus, whereby we've built a solution that is supposed to empower the vendors, but also make sure that meals are more accessible to the customers on the streets. And so that's the whole genesis of Zuhura Solutions. We have built a solar-powered street food vending cart, whereby the vendors will no longer be able to use charcoal as a cooking or warming solution. And we are trying to transition the vendors, basically, especially in Nairobi, vendors are spending between $2 to $3 on charcoal every day. By introducing our solution, which comes with a solar lithium battery and a flexible solar panel, is that the vendors are no longer going to use charcoal on daily basis. But at the same time, you're looking at issues of deforestation. A lot of deforestation is happening, especially in Africa. Yet we are talking about climate change. Yet forests play a very critical role. So so far we've been able to build test the food cart on the streets, and so we are moving into mass production. And of course, with the support of ClimeCare, Sea Growth Africa, and Carbon Trust, we are on that trajectory of building the first at least 10 food vending carts to be able to be in the market by July. While at the same time, we are trying to raise $100,000 by September to really enable us to scale. That's a brief overview about Zuhura Solutions. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So yeah, I think you're solving the major issue, as you said, reduction of cost for the street vendors, as well as health, as they might be breathing charcoal all day long. I think it's a big health issue as well for them. Can you tell us a little bit about the scale of the problem today in Nairobi and in Kenya in general? Maybe how many street vendors are there, and how do you see your market and your expansion?
Well, thank you. The market opportunity is huge. I mean, in Nairobi only, we've got close to 100,000 food vendors who are doing this business. And if you translate that into charcoal usage, that's massive, and that's only in Nairobi. In Kenya, based on our research, we've got more than 2 million food vendors across the country. Again, if you translate that, that's a massive, carbon emissions from charcoal usage, but at the same time, health, impact to the vendor's health. But of course, it's the same issue in Kampala, Abuja, or even in Kigali. So the problem is quite large, but what we're trying to do is tackle market by market. And, based on our research and of talking to other partners in other countries, we see our solutions are scalable. Yesterday, we were on a conversation with some of our partners in Southeast Asia, specifically Indonesia, and those countries, the street food is quite massive, and they're saying, if you can do it in Nairobi, then we can try and scale the same solution in the Southeast Asian market, because they're also dealing with the issues of carbon and deforestation. So that's why the market opportunity is huge. We just need investors who can really believe in our journey and work with us, because there's so much potential in the market. And the street food vendors, the industry actually happens to employ so many people, and both directly and indirectly. So and they tend to be undervalued in our society. If we can work with the food vendors, I think we can do so much in solving the issues of malnutrition in Africa, but at the same time, access to affordable meals.
Thank you very much, Benson. And you started raising an interesting topic that I would like to discuss now, which is investment for startup, and especially climate startups. So as you might know, 2021 was an impressive year for investment in startups in Africa. In total, startups in Africa have raised $5.3 billion, and it was 3 times more than in 2020. So we're starting to see really a boom in the interest of investors in African startups. And I would like to have your point of view, as you are from different geographies. And first of all, maybe Martin, if we can have, how do you perceive these trends, investments in Kenya, and more specifically, is there a focus on climate startups from an investor point of view?
No, thanks, Ayub. Yes, and as you say, 2021 was really a phenomenal year for the whole startup ecosystem across the continent. Record-breaking numbers, and so far 2022, almost halfway through, I think we are on pace to break another record. But largely, I would say that the huge increase in terms of investment doesn't really tell the whole story, and these numbers are still very much skewed to a number of sectors, largely amongst them being the fintechs. And then technology companies who are playing between fintech, logistics, then you'd be healthcare, and so a good proportion of this is going towards fintechs and likewise businesses. And really, in terms of climate, we are yet to see numbers kind of rise to the extent that fintechs have. I think we do still see a lot of money being raised by the likes of M-KOPA. BBOX this year just announced a raise as well. And these are the more mature companies. But the next level of companies in terms of startups who are being able to raise, we're not seeing that. And I would say there is something that as an ecosystem, this is something that as an ecosystem, both business support providers, but as well as investors and different donor partners, we need to really look thoroughly into. Solutions such as Benson's, Mejda's, and Babajide do need that initial source of capital, which we're currently not seeing being prevalent and being available. And especially in my take would be that this kind of capital also needs to have a different type of characteristic than what we're seeing. And the key one for me is the patient nature that it needs to have. Being able to come in highly innovative solutions, but at times without the proven market that most VC and PE requires to then get into that $100, $200 million kind of ticket size. And this is something that I'm seeing, and maybe even the other panelists can share what they're seeing in their parts of the continent.
Thank you very much, Martin. Can we have maybe a point of view from Egypt, maybe? And Abdurrahman, Egypt is also one of the countries that is attracting the most capital in Africa. Do you see the same trends overall and specifically in the climate space?
Yes, thank you, Ayub, and thank you, Martin. Yes, trends are really very similar. I mean, fintech is really on the rise in Egypt, and so also the digital technology and health tech as well. But given the circumstances and also the opportunities that we have locally, some businesses managed also to draw the attention of investors, and they are coming from the climate background. So water technology and agri-technology, mobility and smart mobility, and definitely renewable energy. I mean, the renewable energy market have been rising since 7 or 8 years now in Egypt. So people, and definitely, as you all know, given the momentum that is built on Egypt hosting the COP this year, people started to be much more aware about the difference between mitigation and adaptation solutions and what kind of investments could be attracted. Yes, mitigation is still receiving the majority of investment attractions or the investment focus, but also adaptation when it comes to water technologies, agriculture technologies, and sea protection and sea-related technologies. This is now receiving much more attention given the high momentum of the COP and the climate change happening in Egypt. And globally, climate finance is still a very big issue, and climate finance have different modalities, and the majority of the modalities that is being stuck is in the loans and the funds and grants. However, the investments modalities is much more, I would say, faster in mobilization. And I think that as an ecosystem working on the climate innovation in Africa and generally, we have to capitalize on the investments, because it will be the fastest access to finance that we can get before finally one day countries start to settle on the modalities of climate finance worldwide. And from then loans could be, and it could be achieved, and grants and funds and subsidiaries and everything. So I think this year also the Egyptian government announced the COP to be the African COP. And I wish that there will be a lot more focus on the African innovation, equally between adaptation and mitigation, because it's not right to focus only on mitigation. We all know mitigation is much more attractive to investments. However, adaptation is much more important. So we have to focus on both. And I hope that the African countries and the African Business Support Organization and entrepreneurs will have the opportunity to participate effectively and to build on the momentum of COP happening in Africa this year. At the end, COP is a political event. It's completely run by delegations and political and parties and NGOs and IGOs. However, the momentum built around have been, majority of you went to Glasgow 26 and saw how the momentum was high over there, especially in the private sector. So I think also the African private sector have to capitalize on this, and especially the climate ones. So yeah, it's getting better, I hope. Investments in a couple of years could be at the same level of the investments being attracted to fintech now in Egypt, at least. And I think also, as Martin said, so it's really something good to see that investments right now are seeking to support climate-related innovations in Egypt and regionally.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Abdurrahman. Yeah, as you said, we hear that funding is available globally for climate solutions. And I would like to hear now from the entrepreneurs, maybe what kind of funding are you looking for? What kind of ticket size are you looking for? And do you find enough investors in your markets? And maybe Babajide from Nigeria, which is the country that is attracting the most investments in Africa today. How do you perceive the investors in Nigeria? Is there an appetite for businesses such as yours?
Okay, so thank you, Ayub. So on this investment thing, I mean, I've been on this with my team for over 7 months, trying to raise significant funding. We've gotten support from grant support, bootstrap at some point for us to be able to get things off the ground. But some of those things that we experience here is that for climate solutions, the stakeholders are still coming to terms to even understand what exactly the business case is all about, right? From trying to x-ray what the business case is all about, what it entails. So they're also trying to consider the risk. Many people are still grappling with what does the case look like, right? I mean, for typical investors here, for example, that are investing in maybe oil and gas, they know what the end-to-end would look like. So if I invest X amount of money, we will do this, we'll do that. These are the probable risks that have been mitigated by different stakeholders over the years. And then they could get references and case studies to be able to address or make that kind of decision. But in this case, the risks are so much, we know. They are still trying to grapple with even understanding it. The business case in itself, they're also trying to grapple with it. For fintech, for example, I mean, a lot of the hard work has been done years back, right? A lot of investment has gone into studying how do we make finance more inclusive, right? And it is on top of those studies, that some of the innovations that we are seeing today, raising tons of money all over the place, are riding on. And then you have like success stories for these kind of businesses. Oh, Paystack just exited from the market. That makes sense to investors, right? Oh, that means if I invest X amount of money into this business, I can also most likely exit from this business in 1, 2, 3, 4 years, right? We don't have the same case for climate-based businesses yet, right? So like Fayub said earlier, so it's still an emerging business. A lot of education still needs to go into the ecosystem. A lot of awareness as well still needs to go into it. And then a lot of carrying stakeholders along to understand the potentials in this space still needs to happen for us to be able to capture the value and be able to raise the resources that we need for us to be able to scale the business. So we're leveraging on grant support, we're leveraging on our revenue, but is it enough for us to quickly scale? No. And this is why we just keep talking about it, keep positioning ourselves as a business as well, to be able to attract that resources that we need and be able to make that case, right, for our business and for other emerging businesses within the climate space.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Babajide. So this is a call to all investors around the world. There's a lot of climate innovation potential in Africa, and so Babajide, Benson, and Mejda are just an example, but we have much more entrepreneurs that are very successful and that are looking for capital. Investment is important, capital is important for entrepreneurs, but it's not the only issue entrepreneurs are tackling during their journey. I'm turning now to the entrepreneurs, Mejda, Benson, and I would like you to explain what are the main challenges that you are facing developing your business. And maybe I would start with Mejda. Yeah, what are the main barriers that you see as an entrepreneur in Africa?
So about barriers, like here in Tunisia, let's talk about our experience as in North Africa and Tunisia. We have some, like the government is really encouraging now for ventures in the climate sector and addressing the waste especially. But unfortunately, some of the frameworks or things are that happening in the country are not like well structured to let us manage that waste in the proper way. So we're trying, like we work with a lot of paperwork to have that, like durations also, like a lot of time. They take a lot of time to let us to have access to a lot of things. So that's the first problem that we have. The second problem is, like you all say it now, like it's the part of the investment. So we have like some problems, also access to investors, access to grants related to climate and ventures like us here. So it's a little bit challenging, and also being a woman in like a climate venture is a challenge here. So so that's some of the challenges we face, but also there is like regulatory like problems, and we are trying to be more collaborative in the ecosystem to face all these challenges and create new ways and lead like the government to have the right decisions. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mejda, and I'm sure with all the willpower you'll be able to tackle those challenges, and we've seen you during the last months growing your business. Benson, can you tell us also what are the main challenges that you are facing as an entrepreneur in Kenya, and what are the main challenges that you see, the main barriers for entrepreneurs?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to add something on the investors and based on our experiences, there's a lot of double talk within the investment community community whereby investor says, hey, we believe we invest in ideas, and then you have an idea. They say, hey, you need to develop a prototype. We can only invest in you once you develop a prototype, and so you develop a prototype. You go back to them and say, hey, you just need to sell your product for us to invest. And so the journey continues, and so you wonder where the journey ends. And I feel proud of such programs, which Growth Africa, Climate KIC and GIZ are bringing on board, especially in Africa, in Kenya specifically, because they're really investing at ideation stage. You don't have to have a product in the market. And so those are some of the programs that we really we really embrace, especially in Kenya. To the entrepreneurs, I think we need to break the siloed mentality where people want to run with their own babies. There's need for more collaboration. One of the good thing about this program is that at least we are able to see the synergies within our solution and find ways to collaborate. But typically what you get to see is that everybody wants to build their own product, have that siloed approach, which does not really scale. And so the solution is that if you want to scale across the continent, or if you want to solve big problems, then you need to learn how to collaborate and break the siloed mentality. The other challenge is the lack of capital to be able to support entrepreneurs to even develop their products while in the lab. And so there is that need for that capital, and of course, because there's so many risk-averse investors currently, and that's why we are leaning on foundations and such programs, because they're willing to invest in us and work with us on that journey. But overall, I think the siloed mentality is what I've been seeing a lot happening, and if we can break that mentality and collaborate and scale, I think that's where the future is.
Thank you very much, Benson. Last question from my side, and targeting mainly the supporting organizations. How can an organization such as Climate Kick or another international development agency support better the entrepreneurs in your respective countries? Maybe I start either with Martin or Abdurrahman.
Yeah, sure, I can start. Answering your question, I think one of the most necessary actions to be taken right now by the development agencies or the business support organization is to connect the efforts that have been done together on continental level. So we have all seen the World Bank, the organizer of this prestigious event, and the African Development Bank, and the GIZ, Climate Kick, the European Union, Canada, USAID, every single development program have did a lot of great job in Africa, and especially in our sector, which is the climate innovation sector. Better connection and better data sharing and better investment mobilization will avoid any, will avoid any repetitive effort or any resources to be misused, and then will scale and impact the work that have been done, and then other partners can start building on what the previous one have already achieved. So better coordination and communication and sharing of knowledge and expertise is something hard, but really needed across the business support organization. If we're talking about the big ones like the development sector, or us like Youth in Green, who work as an implementer in Egypt, for example, and have other counterparts in nationally or regionally, alignment and coordination is really important to better have an established ecosystem. If you look to the fintech, for example, worldwide, they are much more organized, they are much more knowledgeable, they know about each other. So I think we have to go that approach.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Abdurrahman. And totally agree with you. I think there are a lot of local organizations that would do an amazing job with supporting local entrepreneurs. And that's something that we always want to do, is to build, to help this community to grow and thrive. I see that time is running off. Just I would invite you to visit our virtual booth. Climate Kick has a virtual booth where we can finish this discussion. If anybody has any questions, we can have some time in the virtual booth to answer. So thank you everybody for your participation, all the panelists, everybody that have joined this session. Thank you very much, and I invite you to the virtual booth for a Q&A.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.